Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Today I woke up and I decided to tell the entire internet I have a terrible disease. I really feel like as humans, we kind of have a tendency to feel better when we know that other people are struggling and it's not just us. So it's kind of hard to talk about because for the most part, every time I try and explain my condition to people, it's really hard for people to connect and understand what I'm going through, which is understandable. I would really never want anybody to understand just how difficult and painful living with the chronic disease can be. But in efforts to kind of convey that and convey what I've been going through, basically what my struggle is. I don't talk about it on social media. I just want to be honest about what goes on in my life. I keep crying. I've had Crohn's disease since I was 11 years old. I don't want to go into how it has been over the past 10 or more years, but today has just been really hard. And I feel like people don't talk about, days like today where you're in a lot of pain. You just feel really frustrated. I haven't slept through the night in 2 months because I wake up at least 3 times a night in agony. And I don't want this to be a pity party, but I honestly just wanted to capture myself being completely vulnerable and sharing how difficult my disease can be for me. It's extremely painful. I feel exhausted. I'm so exhausted. Some moments are better than others. Days like today, I just break down and I can't hold it in. And I shouldn't, because it's really hard. It's very painful. It's mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausting. So I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was about 10 years old. It kind of came on pretty sudden. I was going from 5th grade into 6th grade, and it just started with me having to go to the bathroom a lot, being in a lot of pain, and I lost a lot of weight. At first, when I was diagnosed, the doctor told me that this was going to be a disease that I was going to have for the rest of my life. In that way, knowing that I had this disease and that it was kind of a secret, it almost kind of seemed like cool to me, like I was leading this double life, like Hannah Montana vibes, you know what I'm saying? But instead of a pop star, I was basically a poop star. So anyways, nobody knew in 6th grade that I was in and out of the hospital every week, that I could go to the principal's office whenever I wanted to eat snacks because I was basically emaciated, or the fact that I was allowed to leave class early or come to class late in case I was in so much pain and was in the bathroom and couldn't make it to class on time. So in that way, it kind of had its perks, and I kind of glamorized the whole thing. But as I got older, it really started to sink into the severity of the fact that I was going to have this disease for the rest of my life unless I cured it, which, knock on wood, we're going to cure it. So as I got older, it actually got a lot harder for me to talk about my disease. I was terribly anxious and really couldn't tell anybody what I was going through without breaking down and crying. And that's just because I feel like there's a huge stigma around Crohn's disease, where it's basically just a disease where you poop a lot, and that's really not even a fraction of it. Yeah, and it kind of just does the whole thing a disservice. Like, you can imagine it would be pretty embarrassing to talk about if every time you tried telling somebody about your disease, they just kind of assumed that you just poop a lot and it is what it is. Talking about that kind of stuff can be embarrassing, especially when you're younger. It really just desensitizes this multifaceted condition and groups it into one thing. And in all reality, nobody wants to be known as the person who poops a lot. So let's cut the crap. And until recently, I honestly have not been able to talk about my disease. And when I mean recently, I mean within the past few weeks. I'm 23 years old now, and I've had this disease since I was 10, and I'm finally now able to talk about it without becoming terribly emotional or upset. For entertainment purposes only, feel free to laugh or honestly just make fun of me, but this is what Crohn's basically is. I've battled with chronic and severe diarrhea. Cute, I know. Extreme abdominal pain that I have no words to describe to this day. Malnutrition, bloating, unrelenting and unpredictable fatigue, muscle aches, muscle soreness, joint pain, headaches, depression and anxiety, and other weird side effects from medications like hair loss, getting eczema and psoriasis at random times, hormone imbalances, and now I'm starting to develop arthritis. I know, super cute, super fun, couldn't wait to tell you guys, but now that that's under the way, and you kind of have an idea of what active Crohn's disease looks like. So Crohn's disease, as of right now, has no cure in the medical community. There's no treatment or pill that has been known to cure Crohn's. Much like cancer, you can go into remission where your symptoms are not active, but through medication, there are none that have been found to actually cure the disease. So for my treatment, since I was moderate to severe, I've been on different forms of immunosuppressants, chemotherapy, and a cocktail of other medications like steroids in order to keep my condition under control. But unfortunately, I've actually never reached remission, and every time I feel like I get close, I usually slip into a flare. What happens is my body starts to develop antibodies to specific medications, so I can no longer take that medication and have it have any effect on me anymore, and then I jump to the next form of immunosuppressant, chemotherapy, or steroid. And so the reason I'm making this video is because I've actually been going through the worst flare that I've ever experienced since I've gotten diagnosed. The pain that I've experienced has been more frequent, more unrelenting, and more intense than I ever remembered, even when I was a little girl and I first got diagnosed, and it's really taken me by surprise. Honestly, I've been really stuck in a woe is me kind of attitude for the majority of my flare because every single time I'm in pain, my body is dumping a ton of stress hormones like cortisol to try and make up for the fact that my body is under excruciating pain. So not only am I in pain every single day, my hormones are basically fucked. I haven't slept through the night in 2 months because I wake up in agony multiple times in the night and have to run to the bathroom. And this is just what I've been dealing with for the past 2 months consistently, okay? It sucks. You're probably like, why are you smiling? And that's the thing that I kind of also wanted to draw attention to is these illnesses fuck up your mental health. Like, I have never struggled with depression or anxiety until my Crohn's started to become kind of unmanageable. And lately it's been super out of my control, and the emotional strain that it has put on me since I have felt so helpless and so trapped in this body that feels 100 years old, but my spirit is so vibrant. You can imagine how frustrating that can be. It's really frustrating when you feel like you have everything you need mentally, but your body is basically deteriorating. And I let a lot of doubt consume me, and I kind of conformed to this belief that something had been taken from me, that life was unfair, and that I was basically the only one who was miserable and suffering, which is not true. My meditation practice, which I've consistently been doing for the past year, had kind of led me to all of the beliefs and stories that I was telling myself that was keeping me trapped in my own suffering. I had basically convinced myself that life was unfair to me and that I was going to have this disease for the rest of my life. But in all reality, when you can kind of just accept what you're going through as its own phase in life, your struggles are no longer personal and they don't carry so much power over you. And you can kind of choose what you want to write your story as. If you want to write your story as somebody who life takes advantage of and kicks down and beats, you're going to feel broken and hurt all the time, and that's what I was doing. I've really come to terms with the fact that this is my struggle, and everybody has struggles, and a lot of the times people just don't talk about them. And we all have them, and they are so fucking inevitable. And the best part about struggle in life is that it pushes you to be more accepting, more loving, and more trusting. And ultimately, all of our struggles and all of our hardships are pushing us to be better people. And that's really what I want to highlight here. Being able to connect to this compassionate state with ourselves allows us to be more compassionate and loving with others. And I can honestly say, you may not believe this, but even though I have been in so much pain, I am exhausted, and I probably cry every single day, no lie, this is the happiest I've been because I've never felt so secure in my skin. If you haven't gained any sort of awareness for Crohn's disease or any other autoimmune condition, if nothing else, I have raised awareness to the fact that we are all human, and behind closed doors, we are all going through our own cycles, our own phases, and our own struggles, and we need to connect to that when we are met with other people. Honestly, it all starts with us, and it all starts with our own individual struggles and making peace with the fact that some shit is out of our control, and all we can do is hope for better and keep moving forward and give ourselves so much compassion. Yeah! Woo! And if you didn't find some sort of twisted joy in me opening up about my extremely embarrassing disease, which I kind of hope you did, I won't be mad. Sometimes I feel like it's just enough to know that you're not the only one struggling, and it doesn't even have to be a health condition. It doesn't even have to be monumental. And I know that I've pretty much driven myself crazy assuming that I was the only one going through hardship and feeling like everybody else was living this so abundantly easeful, peaceful, smooth sailing life, and that's so not it. And I am a demonstration of that, and yet I can still be here and be so happy and inspired and so grateful for the fact that I have my disease, and it is pushing me forward to be more accepting and loving with myself and others. And that's what I want to leave you all with here today. I've already completely overshared, and yeah. So thank you for hanging out with me, truly from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me to be able to share my story. And I just kind of wanted to take one last moment to put out there that before I made this video, I really had to ask myself what my intention was going behind this. Because if getting attention from sharing my illness was what I was going for, then I'm doing it all wrong. I don't need attention, I don't need sympathy, I don't even need empathy, I don't need pity. I'm making this video because I want to share my story, because I want to be vulnerable, and because I want to be transparent. I want to accept myself as I am and encourage others to do the same. So I hope that you all join me again in the future. I know that I'm healing and going through a lot. I'd love to heal, grow, and evolve together. So yeah. I know I certainly am, and we don't have to do it alone. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you all again in one of my next upcoming videos. Don't be a stranger, and show yourself some love. You fucking deserve it. You're a badass. You got this. Don't you ever, ever, ever get it wrong.